day now break. Everybody on the hustle. Some people know like peace. They want some trouble. Crime rates on the increase. The government can protect the people. Oh Lord, no justice for the poor. Yeah, look the way we're living. We treating one another unfair. Unfair. Look the way we living. We treating one another unfair. Look the way we living. What's the hope for the future? What's the hope for the future? What's the hope for the future? The hope for the future. Yeah. We have everything in abundance, but we die and rot and breed. We pray, asking the Lord for another Moses.
Okay, folks. Good evening, everyone. Good evening again. Welcome to Second Thought, our Thursday night edition. It's good to have all of you here. If you're just coming in, welcome. If you're on the page, please go ahead and share for us. As you know, your friends may not be my friend, or my friend may not be Peter's friend. As it is, we all have our own connection. So we want to get the information to all of the people that we can. You educate us, we educate you. Tonight, we have a lot of information in store for you so we can discuss. I think we're going to open the phone line tonight, but we're going to be talking about the sports system, or the political machine for that matter. And we're going to start with that and tell you what a political machine is. And then we're going to talk about the division, why this division benefits certain people, and it does not benefit the nation, it does not benefit us all. So again, that was Quincy B, a young man who died about 9 years ago almost. And he made that song way back in the first UP-led government. And I can tell you for free that everything he said is present today. Everything that he hoped for, we still hope for it today. That said, Peter, what's your opinion?
Yeah, thanks for this conversation. I would just finish up our conversation that I was having. It's always important to have this conversation about our country. Very, very important that we understand that we are the government. There is no some outside entity. We live in a democracy. That means whatever we decide as a people, in the majority, is what's going to happen. So the government that you have, that Quincy B is singing about, where there's no jobs, there are no jobs for the people, and a few people are enjoying the country, taking a lion's share of the country, the biggest part of the meal, and giving everyone just one spoon while they're wasting food in a metaphorical way. Is what's happening still in Liberia, and the only way it can change is if we decide as a group to change it. So that's the purpose of this conversation. We need to keep talking to our people. Hopefully it will lead them to want to act and pick different types of leaders, different mindsets, and look at why we are where we are and how can we change it. So I'm glad to be here. I'm always glad to be here. So let's have this conversation.
Thank you, Peter. Let's go in depthly, because this is something that you have studied. You know, today in the news, we and this I've been training for a while, and I'm going to talk about a particular person. So it's always good to have like a model, okay, like an actual face. I remember years back when the DED program was going on, a lot of Liberians were afraid to come up front to talk. And my sister-in-law, Abadolo, decided she would be the one to talk on CNN. A lot of people were telling her, oh, when you go over there, the people will arrest you. You know, you Dr. Dolo's wife. But by her coming up and talking, people were able to put name, face to DED. Okay? That DED were not plebeians. DED was not welfare recipients, DED holder, wearing just people, we can say back on Flakache, that people on DED were taxpayer, they were educated, they were married, they had children, they could speak, they were contributing immensely into the community. It set the tone for a lot of people to come out. So we're gonna focus on somebody today. We're gonna focus on Sekou Dukle at the. I'm gonna focus on Sekou Dukle at the seaport. That's where the conversation derives. Okay, we know a lot of stuff is going on in Liberia at this point, even with the election in Nimba, and which hopefully when we have finished with this topic, I would love for Peter to reflect on it, because Peter understands democracy, the bloodline or the lifeline of democracy, how it works, right? How we are connected, whether we believe it or not. Now, I woke up and heard a lot of people talking. And it seems like every time something goes wrong, the first thing that we throw in is our tribe or our religion. I don't believe people need to be higher based on their religion only, or based on their tribe only. There must be a minimum qualifier, especially if you're going to lead, okay, the gateway, the financial gateway to the nation. All right. And the person who wrote gave us data and statistics. I have not seen anybody counter those data to say, oh, this boss said there were 18 people. He hired 22 more people. The first thing we threw out is the tribe. You want to move him because of his religion, because of his tribe. It's not because he's incompetent. So that's what we want to talk about today. I'm not saying that he is. I'm saying make your argument based on competence, not based on religion. Peter, I'm not going to go further. So I want you to take that from there and see where we are.
Yeah. So looking at that story, I've just started to pay attention to it. I'm looking at it a little closer. I had a glimpse of what was going on with Spoon TV last night.
Would you like for me to play that?
Yeah, if you could do that, absolutely.
Yeah, you send it so I can look at it and play it. Hold on, just
I don't think what I sent you is about the tribe thing.
Okay, go ahead. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so the point I'm making is that's a Liberian thing, right? So I briefly watched it on Spoon TV last night, and here's what I gather from that. Two things. Number one, you cannot discourage people from raising their arms. You can't. What we do when that does come up is you investigate. You do a preliminary investigations, and if you see there is something, you go into more details. However, what you cannot say, I don't think anyone should say, is, well, let's not focus on tribe. Is tribalism here? I don't know. But can we look at the data? If someone accuses someone of that, is there nepotism? I don't want people to feel ostracized because they bring up something that is very prevalent in Liberia. Tribalism is a very, very sore subject in Liberia, and just like Germany did when it came to the Judaism and racial tension after World War II. You can't say, well, you have to look into it. Rwanda did the same thing when it came to tribe after their war. You have to look into it. You can't discourage people from saying, I think tribalism is here. So that's my first part. The second part is I don't even think that's the argument he was making. He was making, from what I gather, is the argument that was being made was there were 11 people directors hired, and this guy hired an additional 9. I think that's an additional 8, something to that effect. I think that's what he was arguing. He was also arguing that the Port Authority is not is not giving back to, is not producing, is
It's
not
not contributing to the national
contributing.
budget like
Yeah,
those who came before him.
yeah.
Yes. Mhm.
By is underperforming by about $5 million. So I think he was saying, how do you hire more people and now we're getting less production out of you? It doesn't, it's not jiving. So what I think needs to happen is we need to not worry about what tribe he is. I think that's a distraction. I think that's a hot button topic. I
Right.
think this is what Liberians do. They always, this is what cynical people do. It's not just Liberian, cynical people. They always try to see, and this, I guess that's a human nature thing, see the world through their prism. The problem is they don't have enough information, so they assume what's happening. What does the sun do at night? Oh, Jesus closed his eyes, and no, the earth rotate. How do we know that? We investigated through the scientific process. We went and we can verify, we can prove it. That's how the world, especially when it comes to government, it cannot be about dogma. It cannot be about red meat issues. Tribalism is about tribalism. Now everyone is going to pick sides based on what tribe he is.
Right.
No, that's not what the argument was being made. A, the productivity from the Port Authority is low, very, very low compared to his predecessors. B, not only is that he hired more people and is paying them a lot of money, directors' money, and paying them money that you will pay ministers, and these people are not producing anything. So you're literally trying to create a jobs program. Is, I think that's what he's getting at. You can't create jobs, so you take the government jobs through the spoil system with your top advisors or people who supported you, and you're trying to give them job on the backs of the taxpayers, on the backs of Liberian children. That's where I find problem with that. And if he's wrong, investigation shows us how he's wrong. But what you cannot do is try to discourage people and bully them into silence because you ran to tribalism. Oh, it's because the man's Mandingo. Now everyone's listening from a lens that is tribalistic, and which is not even what the argument is. I've encountered that a lot. You only talking because you want a job in Liberia. Yeah, I don't want a job in Liberia. My job pays me quite well here, and I have tenure, and I have a retirement. I have no desire to even be in government. But people will say that because that's how they see the world. They think
Right.
because they want a job. Why would I want to work in Liberia? Like, coming to Liberia will be a labor of love. After I retire from my job and my family's okay, maybe I want to help, but it's not. Coming to Liberia does not enhance my life. It actually takes away a lot. People will still accuse me of trying to want a job. Accused of the reason you're talking is because your party lost. No, it has nothing to do with political party. I don't give a damn political party. I care about the well-being of our people. But until you refute that and you answer to that, that narrative is there. I want to say this before I close on this. Cummings always talks about this, about having people define you. You cannot allow cynical people to define you through their prism because it's going to stick. So you have to 100%, when you're accused of something, you have to face it. So if this guy's being accused of tribalism, he's hiring a bunch of Congo people. I don't think that's what really happened. But if he's being accused of that, investigate and let's move on from there. Yeah, Sandy?
Yes. I'm hearing you.
No, I was done.
Okay, good. So here, let me bring this up. Okay, I want to show this. This young man wrote and said the wage bill crisis, the fact speaks for itself. Before Sekou, NPA had 8 executive directors. After Sekou, in just 1 year, he hired 11 new executive directors, increasing the total to 19. That's 120% increase. Senior director, before Sekou, 22. Now 18 new hires. Total monthly wage, 117,000. Okay, these are appointees by him. All right. Now, forget about the Mandingo, forget about the Crown, forget about the Gio, the Basso, the Bandit, forget about that. Let's just critically look at that. Such a man, I see you, I will send it. Okay. Let's look at that. The wage bill has, but let's go back. And what I want is other stocks and comparable, right? When Matilda Parker was before she got into the problem she got into, she used to contribute, she and her team with less people used to contribute between $7 to $10 million annually. Sekou first year, he projected that he will contribute $7 million. He contributed $2 million, or about $2 million. Let me not be concise, about $2 million. Okay. Now, they had less people and they were able to produce or contribute between $7 to $10 million. You got more people with more money being paid. You contribute $2 million to the national budget. And that is the gateway. And I can say safely, because we want to know, if has production decreased, as the shipment coming into the nation decrease, okay? And if it have decreased, because then this is not adding up, Peter. So logically, critical thought process, okay? This is common sense, right? You wouldn't be hiring more people, all right, if you're underperforming or if the gateway is not performing, then something is not right. That you talked about creating jobs. You cannot create jobs on the back of the Liberian people when, and these are appointees, okay? Now here we go. And he said the wage bill has skyrocketed from 800K to 1.4 million per month. Workers have not received rice, gas, and scratch card benefits since December. 420 contractors face layoff, while top officials enjoy inflicted salaries. Handbook violations have been established under these employment conditions. Sekou excessive spending while NPA sinks. Instead of fixing these problems, Sekou Dukle has prioritized wasteful spending, hiring unqualified political loyalists, and this is where the political machine comes to play, and this is where Peter want to speak in depth with one. Okay, loyalists at the expense of the taxpayer. Let's break it down. Assisting director, 2,100. This is Liberia though, 2,100. Director, 2,500. Directors, 3,000 monthly. Senior director, 4,000. Executive director, 4,500. And you say the country poor? And let's not forget, Sekou Dukle personal compensation salary is 7,861 per month. Housing allowance, 2,700 in his own country. So we're talking $10,000 now. Security allowance, 750. Board fee, 2,100. We're talking 15,000 annually, okay, for simply attending a meeting. The most interesting part is, despite this reckless financial disaster, NPA has failed to contribute to the national budget. Last year, NPA was expected, as I just said, because that was from the last, but that was from you, Peter, and I'm speaking to. We're expected to contribute 7 million, but only contributed 2 million. You know, I have not fully read it. I'm just reading it, but I have all of that information. This year, MP is contributing nothing for the first time in the history of Liberia, okay? If MP is generating no revenue, how can the government finance 2.5 billion domestic investment target under the rescue agenda? Liberia need a state-owned enterprises to function efficiently, yet MPA under Sekou leadership is a financial disaster. Is it making sense, Peter? Let's talk about the system, political loyalists and all of that.
Well, there are a couple of things here before we talk about what the patronage system is and the spoil system. Number one, they needed to find places for these people. So what's the big deal? They found them jobs. Well, because they don't have money from this revenue generator. If you talk to anyone who does anything that has to do with shipping in Liberia, it has become very, very, very difficult and expensive.
Inexpensive, yes.
It's become expensive because they have to pay all these people, and all these unqualified people working there have to be paid, right? And that's a bad thing because it is now hindering the development of the country. So the easeability of doing business in our country, when people are trying to ship things to Liberia, especially Liberians, not the Lebanese that have their people that their agents that get their stuff out quickly. I'm talking about regular Liberians who want to send things back home to their family. It is extremely frustrating for them because you have this bottleneck of people and they're trying to squeeze every single dollar out of you. Why does that matter? It matters because you have a person who never understood how to create jobs. And because this person couldn't create jobs, they're going to make ends meet somehow. And how are they doing it? They're expanding the Liberian government. The government is inflated because everyone has to get paid off the government because he doesn't understand how to create private sector jobs. Which brings me to political machines. What is happening in Liberia is not unique to Liberia, people. It's not just Liberia. I mean, Venezuela is going through it. The world's first democracy, modern democracy. Let me make sure I qualify by saying that the world's first modern democracy, the United States went through this in the early 1900s. So let me tell you the story. The spoil system is whoever wins is exactly what you think about in Liberian politics. As I describe it, you'll hear exactly what Liberian politics is. If I support you and you win based on the amount of loyalty I show or the amount of people that I believe that you contribute to my success, I get to award you jobs.
Yeah.
And this went out in America for a long, long time when their democracy first started, right? They will give you jobs based on, and you didn't have to be qualified. This went back all the way to Andrew Jackson, all the way to people where people had to have duels, and duels in America was when they shot at each other.
Yeah.
And this was a fact. This happened in the United States. So for a long time, that's how that democracy operated. If I help you get a job, if I help you get elected, you give me a job, whether I'm qualified or not. You find me a job in government. The reason they were doing that was because there were not enough private sector jobs, stable jobs in the private sector. As the economy expanded, government jobs became less lucrative. Government jobs became something that people didn't really care about because the tenure of it was so short. Okay. It was people who were either already rich that went into it or people who were there for legacy. Their family already has stuff. Those are people who goes into type of government jobs, not people who done a leadership role to be like a minister, not people who are looking to have money. In the early 1900s, a president, his name was James Garfield. There was a guy who promised, who helped him become president. He thought Garfield and the whole rumblings about whether people were qualified for jobs or whether they should have jobs was already going on. So Garfield, this president in the early 1900s, late 1800s, wanted to stop this system. So what Garfield did was saying, if I get elected, I'm not going to keep hiring people based on loyalty to me. Well, after Garfield got high, after he won the election, a guy who really, really supported him didn't get a job.
Yeah.
Because there were too many people being hired. There was too many bad things happening. So Garfield's like, listen, I can't get you a job. Well, this guy shot Garfield. He killed the American president. Right? This is one of the few presidents that got assassinated. After Abraham Lincoln, Garfield was the next one got assassinated. But he got assassinated because of patronism. Patronism, which is I give you votes, I help you win, you give me jobs. America had to adjust how they went about offering jobs to people. They created what was called the civil service system, the civil service exam, where everybody had to be on the list for certain jobs. You have to get qualified before you can even be considered. It doesn't matter who you support, who you didn't support. Secondly, political party affiliation became illegal. Just if you're hiring someone just because it supported you, became illegal. So what America did to adjust was say, first of all, civil service examination. If whatever job you want, you had to show that you were qualified for the job. You had to show that you had merit on this job. Okay. Afterwards, it became illegal for you to just.
No, go ahead. I gotta go talk to her in the back. Keep talking.
Yeah. It became illegal for you to just hire someone based on your political party affiliation. So yeah, that was the patronage system. The patronage system is a system that happens in all emerging democracy. When I say emerging democracy, when people first start to figure out what democracy is just not you vote for someone. There are a lot of things that go into it. When America was still trying to figure out how they were going to run their democracy, they went through the same type of struggles. And this is where we are. So it's nothing strange about what's happening in Liberia. It just needs to be fixed, because if it's not fixed, what's happening now with people who are not qualified to get the job, we're going to continue to get the jobs. We're going to continue to hire people, elect people like Joseph Boyka, that's not based on merit, that couldn't answer questions about how they're planning on building the country. They would just be on the surface, and they would just say things that that didn't matter. There was not enough scrutiny. There was not enough vetting to pick people and put them in leadership. So everything was brand new and in America.
Thank you, Peter. She didn't mean to come on like that. I think I brought her on too early. So folks, we have to find a solution, right? So like Peter rightfully put, majority of the country that has survived and come to where they are today, all right, they started off somehow. But we can't be, because we are not a new country. We are a 200 years old country. And because we are 200 years old country, we have absolutely no excuse.
Well, yeah, let me jump in for a second.
Okay.
Yes and no. We are a 200-year-old country, but we are a very brand new democracy. Here's my argument, and feel free to disagree with me. Until 1980, even after that, until 1985, because we had junta, we had a coup, we didn't have a true democracy. It was a one-party system. So it was more of a oligarchy. So to allow people's votes to count, to allow their voices to be heard, I believe this is brand new to us. This is why we don't ask our presidents to debate, like truly debate on topic and ask them real questions about what's your economic worldview. Ask them the whats, the whens, the hows. Same thing with people running for mayors. Same thing with people running for Senate. We don't ask them. It's based on population, who's popularity. So what I'm saying is, the country is old, but the form of government in the way it's being run, I think is not only is it brand new, it's very brand new. I mean, when did this change? In the 90s? Because Doe got killed in 1990. The war happened. We had Sawyer. We had the rest of them. We had a murderess become president. And
about 20 years, 18,
yeah.
18 20 years.
So if you look at countries, we are struggling with what democracy is. And the thing about it is, and I didn't want to cut you off. I'll close on this. There has to be fights. There is no country that was easily just brought about like that. There has to be fights, right? And this is one thing that America really values: time spent, time put in. The reason they care about veterans, what are you willing to put on the line? They don't really care about veterans. The general public do, because like, if are you willing to die for this? These people were willing to die for this country, and
Still
because
are.
yeah, and because there are, if you're not willing to get to where we need to get to, they ain't come about by just being there. This is some nasty fights, and that's part of democracy. You're allowing everyone to speak. Some people need to shut up, but you're not going to get them to shut up. You have to make them, and this is how it happens. So the struggles that we're going through, all I'm saying is not unique to Liberia, and Liberia is not really an old democracy. Actually, it's probably one of the newest democracy, even though it's the oldest country.
Okay. So to chronicle and circle back to Peter, which makes sense. From 1822, 1847, okay, Liberia was not a democracy, it was an oligarchy, calling to, although it was in the name of democracy, okay, Peter, so just on the right, yes, just to kind of re-emphasize. The name was democracy, but it was a one-party system, a two-wing party, that what it was, okay? And in fact, what we call in America disenfranchisement were practiced in Liberia, where they will tell you, you got to pay for your vote. You have to learn, you have to be able to read before you can vote. So people were literally denied vote, or you have to have money, you have to pay for poll tax. All of these things happening in Liberia. You know where that happened? It happened in America. It happened in America with the slave and the free slave, when they have gotten their what do you call it, the 13, the 14, and the 15th Amendment have passed, they become citizens to vote. So although we were in our country, we were Black people, all of our Black people and our brothers and sisters that returned, but then there was a blockade, okay, put in place that said you should be able to read before you can vote, or you should have property worth so and so. In fact, Emma Sawyer, I believe it was Emma Sawyer, was denied to be on the ballot for a mayoral position in Montserrat because he did not have $20,000 worth of property. I believe it was Emma Sawyer, but it was one of those people. Okay, that's how bad we were. But Sister Yama is here. She's out in Liberia. She has been off the line for a moment. We are not being able to talk to her. I can't yet wait for her to get back to hear from her. So, Sister Yama, tonight we're talking about the patronage system, okay, and the role of the government. And instead of when asking for meritocracy, every time people say this person had done it, the first thing that a lot of the tribal people do is they push in their religion, they push in their tribe to cover up what is happening or what they're doing instead of speaking to the issue. That's what we're addressing tonight. Go ahead, Yama, if you're there.
Yes, I am.
Yes,
Good
so
evening.
go
Good
ahead.
in the middle of the night from my end, and good evening, Coach Q and both Little Yesenia Martin Beck. I am broadcasting live from Dwazon,
Yes, so just
Dwazon,
give
Lower
me your location
McGeevy.
again. Mhm.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you. You just give me your location. Go ahead. The boys will
Okay,
come on.
yeah. I'm broadcasting live from Dwazon, Lower McGeevy County. Um, Yeah, bring you greetings from here. And I see that the topic is patronage, division, and the fight for fairness.
Mhm.
Man, oh man, fairness and Liberia cannot go in the same sentence right now.
Mhm.
Right now, there's unfairness even between the Pempen guy and the Keke guy. The Pempen,
So, Jamal, let me interject a little bit. For the past 5 days, almost every other day, I seen a Liberian young man on a live, literally,
yeah,
either pursued by the police or car ran over them. I saw one in the street yesterday. I just tired following it. It's like life does not matter. I'm glad that you're talking about it. And Peter, that's some of what I was just bringing. But why is this your man? Yes, the paper guy and the people. Yes, and
Yeah, the pimping guy. You know what I noticed? The
no.
the keke guy is too big to swift through the traffic.
So you got paper and then you got keke.
The pimping is the motorcyclist. Okay, so the motorcyclists, they are very fast and they swift through real quickly with no sense of safety. But I never thought I would, because I was here 4 years ago. Every like 4 years I come. I was here 4 years ago and there were no keke at that time. But the keke is not big enough to occupy its own space, but then it's not small enough to go through. So, oh my God, never thought there was going to be a day where I would ride up the motorcyclist than the keke. The keke is so annoying. They're too big to go through the cars, and they're I mean they're too big to go through the cars, but they're small enough not to take a whole section of the freeway,
Well, since
and
your
they
man,
just stop.
here is the thing though,
Oh
because there
my
are no
goodness.
because there are no rules. And then this is what we're talking about. There's no rules because
No room.
here in the states, right? You got road for bicycle, okay? You got road for vehicle, and then vehicle that can move at least 20 miles an hour. So it does not matter if you have a Fiat, you will still get in the traffic and you will be given your space to run. And
Yeah.
people will give you the right of way. So it has to do with either law or lawlessness. So it can be annoying. They're all headed the same direction or they're going somewhere. So there has to be some sort of rule in place or guardrail that will guide us to where we need to be. I think that is the problem.
And
But
I
why?
don't know why they don't have it. It's not that they don't foresee that we have keke, which is almost like a golf cart. So we have the golf cart drivers and the motorcyclists. But my thing is, I live on right now. I'm on Rafferty Highway in Dwazon. They are really building the road from the airport, but there's no incentives for the keke and the motorcyclists. You are barely, or one wheel is two lanes and going the opposite direction is two lanes, and they're gridding the road and they're working 24/7, come right on the road here. But you think that we're wide to know that we have this issue and the building a major highway from the Freeport all the way to, I mean, from the airport all the way to EW Highway, you think the sidewalk will extend it a little bit so the pimpin and the keke and the golf cart riders will have their own lane. If you are not going to invest in the transport system and bring Maria Transport Authority back, and what we used to back in the day to call MTA, and the school buses and stuff, because there's no need to seize their motorcycle and everything. Put the money into the Monrovia Transport Authority. Those pimpin would naturally and organically find their way in the rural area where they need those motorcyclists because the roads are horrible. I literally just came back less than 24 hours ago from Lofa. I went as far as Dulce. I went to see my mother's town, and I took some nurses there because my angel is trying to do something medically. But you don't have to seize the motorcyclists and the keke and whatever if you just put the country's money and invest into urban transportation and buses and school buses that will pick up the kids, and also that organically the pimping and the keke would phase out and they will go in the rural area, and then the government can go ahead and try to start, especially with a newer ministry. What I noticed, the newer that I think we have 4 or 5 newer ministry like gender and whatever. A couple of them were very new that after the war We just need to find a town or a county to decentralize. Liberia got a mindset problem, or a really deep-seated corruption problem, and a relocation problem. We need to just make.
Jama, hold your thought right there. Let me go back to Peter. Okay.
Okay.
You just spoke about redistribution. I think that's what we're talking about. Okay.
Yeah. It needs to
So
be
redistribution,
redirected.
we're talking about patronage, right? Because the money is going into people pocket who voted for. You see, a lot of the people who were vocal yesterday when we was in power, the very people, the old people who were vocal yesterday when Samuel Kedo were in power, those very people now they are not talking because they're waiting to be appointed. Even people that I advocated with, if you come on the line here, they will come and start cussing you, or some of them secretly will come in your inbox to tell you to stand down, get a prepared time. But when we are took over, Peter is here. Peter and I protested. Okay, all are protested, either in person or just by being on the social media or contributing to protest. Now, all of those vices exist today. Those very people are holding back when you write, like I wrote the other day about the lady that was mad handle at the hospital and got all of these things on her. When I asked, where is the first lady? By the way, where is the first lady again? I'm asking this question. People come under my post and say, you are degrading the first lady. No, I'm not. She works for me. She and her husband work for us. I don't care what age they are. When you put your hand up or you put your name in the hat and say, I'm running, especially in democracy, you are an employee of the people. In democracy, the people have the power. The only reason that the people in Liberia, they do not understand the power that they hold. Okay? We the people. Now, let me come to Peter. I'm just veer off a little bit.
So the people don't understand their power yesterday. The
Yeah,
people don't even have data. They
because
don't even have data.
the reason being is democracy can only flourish when the people understand, when they're educated to know the rights and responsibility. Peter
Well,
just
then that what shows, but that it shows that I never thought I would say this, but maybe I'll say in my closing. But democracy is actually not for us.
okay, just it's for us. It is for us. Let me go because
I don't think so. If any,
okay,
the people you can have
okay,
90% of illiteracy rate.
Emma, hold your thought. I will come
Mhm.
back to you. Let me go to Peter. I will just bring my thought in, and then
Okay, go to my brother.
come back to you. Okay.
Okay.
So Peter, we're talking about reinvestment into the system. The road that they're talking about, Peter and I have traveled that road for the last 7 years. They've been running that road for 7 years. There are no shoulders, there are no pullover, there's no even exit route to go into different yards. Once you get up there, you're literally sitting on like a hill and they keep getting higher. So, Peter, I was just talking about the killing with no recourse, especially of young Liberians who are just trying to survive. All right. And most of the people that are killing in, the people in a position of power or know somebody in power. And the money is not cycling, the money is not going around, and these people must survive. So we're still on this division. Those in power, those not in power, those in the diaspora, and those living home. Those who have more power because they live home or they never left. Come and talk to us. And it's still patronage, by the way. How do we fix that? How do we change that system? How was America able to? I know you started to explain to her how America did it. How were they able to? I'm not talking about Donald Trump. Donald Trump will balance. I know American people will take care of it. There's enough structure in place that will absorb that.
Yeah. Yeah, Sydney, thanks. So first thing we have to understand, I want to reiterate, is that nothing came about by chance.
Mhm.
Um, every That's like being an engineer, right? What engineers do is they look for They see problems and look for solutions to solve those problems. That's how technology came about. How can we ease communication? All right, let's invent this thing. What if we had something we can talk across town? Telephones and telegraphs, all those stuff were invented because of that. Electricity, same thing, washer, dryer, anything you can think about was a need that was being met. Um, Sis Yama said something that I wanted to jump on. Um, Liberians don't respect expertise.
Nope.
That's a This is where it starts. That's a major problem. We have this class warfare that has been they have created this firewall for people they need in the system. What every other nation did was expats built those nations. From Rwanda, now recently it's Rwanda, but you go to South Korea, to the Philippines, uh, um, all those countries. What they
Singapore.
did, Singapore, Russia, big or Russia, what they did was they sent out experts, they sent out students to go and learn the ways of the West. The West at the time was Britain, the United States, Sweden. Those countries were more industrialized. So they sent their people out to learn how these people organize themselves. Okay, I think it was Lafayette that left France and came to the United States to study how democracy was. Don't forget, France was the birthplace of the whole idea of democracy, modern democracy. Okay, they came to study how America was functioning. The point of the matter is expertise matters. Liberians do not respect experts. The guy from Burkina Faso is building homes. So he's bringing machines. Someone sent me the video. And I reposted the video. And someone said, any man trying to bring yellow machine and y'all fighting him? Expertise matters. Every machine is not good enough. Just because a machine is not good enough. You can't start with building roads. Nobody has done it like that because it doesn't work. There hasn't been one successful country that built the roads first. Even in the United States, they didn't start building highways until after World War II.
Mm-hmm.
They were created in 1776. So this network of roads came about later. Same thing with Japan. Same thing with Saudi Arabia. So he's bringing in machines to build roads because he's getting contracts from people that wants to give, yellow machines, yellow. No, you first got to do there are steps to cooking this food. Respect experts. I don't care if it's people who clean buildings. If they're telling me what detergent to use, I listen because that's their expertise. If they tell me what type of mop to buy, I will listen because that's their expertise. We don't respect experts. Everyone's like, oh, we should do this, we should do that. Based on what? Tell me who's done it the way you're suggesting. You want to bring yellow machines? Great. Who's done it like that before? How is it going to work? What's the timeline? Show me. Tell me what's going to be step one. How is that going to infuse money into the country? Because it's what we need now. We need to respect experts. When it comes to nursing and how the healthcare, I would 100% defer to Sis Yama. If she says this is what I think we should do, because that's an area of expertise. When it comes to childcare and education, early childhood education, if Yasendi says we should do it like this, I'm listening. That's an area of expertise. It doesn't mean we don't get to have a voice in our democracy, but we need to start at respecting experts. The reason we have those roads is because who's the expert is building the roads with no sidewalk? Who? There's this big
Let's because she's dying to
right? There's a two-lane highway. There was a accident again on it. There is no way to pull over. So if a car breaks down, there is this huge bottleneck that's going to be created. Okay, that just tell you the chaos. Yasendi is literally like someone you give someone a grocery list to go and buy the ingredients for GB, and you said bring it to the house. When I get home, I'll cook it. You come home, this person already you give me the list, right? They got milk in the pot. They don't put some whatever they can find. They put onions in there. They put some pineapple in there. It was like
It would
it was
not
in the
work.
kitchen. You told me to buy all this stuff. No, the pineapple was for later for dessert. You don't put it. Oh, but I got the list. That's what we have in Liberia, and we're supposed to respect that. And you think we're going somewhere in a competitive world? We have all these foreign exploiters in our country taking our gold out, our diamond, our ores. Who's the expert to tell you what's the market value and what's the prices that should be charged? Who's watching that? We don't hire experts.
Nobody.
And let me land on this, SND. And this is a sad, right? I believe the real problem is, guys, the real problem in America is a racist country. No one's to acknowledge that. Two things. Number one, America created a king. The president's a king because he gets to pass executive orders. Okay, just by his edict. It doesn't have to be debated. If he says it, it goes. Now
Yeah,
it can be
a proclamation. Yes.
it can be scrutinized with the Supreme Court and say if it's constitutional or not. But he gets to declare edicts, right?
Yeah.
I say so, so shall it be. Right?
So
That's not what
shall it be,
democracy
yes.
is. Okay, so America created that because of how the country first started. That's number one. Number two, America is a country that was everything is based on race. The two political party system is only major political party system because those was two parties that cut the line racial lines. Everything in this country is racial. The people don't want to acknowledge that America is a racist country. So they say, oh, it's Donald Trump. No, 77 million people voted for him in those policies. The guy who just today disassembled the Department of Education. Okay.
Yes,
They will come up with all this.
Yes.
They'll come up with all these reasons other than looking at the truth. No, it's a racist country. And it's all about race to keep the poor white people feeling good about themselves. You built a system to make them feel like they're better than dark-skinned African people. And you're not, but you don't want to acknowledge that. Let's acknowledge Liberia's problem. Guys, Liberians in general.
Peter, can you hold that thought? Let me come to your man, then you can come on that so you can tell our problem so we can find solution, please.
Sure.
Please. Oh, you thought. Says Yama, come on, we're listening to you. You and your
Okay.
keke and when I say keke and what you
And they pempe.
that is so crazy. But
And they click. And today I was actually at Boys Town. I tried to cross the road. My driver was getting gasoline and I decided to cross the road to go to the supermarket to buy a couple of bags of ice. And this guy, okay, I crossed the road, everything, and coming back. And then just a little joke, one of the supermarket attendants insisted that you needed to cross me around. I'm like, I don't need your help because nobody does anything for free now. Even if it's 50 cents, you have to give it. So he kept insisting, like, okay, crossing the road. I said, I did cross the road to come here, huh? So crossing the road, and this guy in the keke decided to F for me. Like, rim, a little golf cart. I was crossing the road, and of course, I dropped the F bomb because I'm a nurse, and we drop the F bomb all the time in the hospital. And the guy just thought it was hilarious that I dropped the F bomb. But it's like no sense of safety and just it was just something else. What I don't get, okay, I appreciate the fixing the roads, right? But God forbid if they put a temporary whitewash on the road and then later on they make it a permanent ink, pink to show the line or demarcation in between two lanes. They said the road is not finished. So I literally stopped and asked one of the builders of the room, like, why can we have a web watch off the line so the keke can know he's on his lane, everybody can know it on the lane. Oh no, my madam, we're not gonna do that till we finish. What nonsense. It's whitewash, for heaven's sake. They would not buy a few, but you know how when it's constructing the roads, they will
Mm-hmm.
put a temporary whitewash or a yellow line to show the
Mm-hmm.
line of demarcation for the
Mm-hmm.
lane.
Mm-hmm.
Oh no, they're not gonna do it till they finish the road. They have to dedicate the road, cut the ribbon before they put a piece. Hey, yes, 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 yes. We got to see my problem. You say, Coach Key want to tell you about their problems, my dear. The problems, the problems are deep seated, deep rooted mindset condition. Condition. It's so a condition as if right now, if you want to interject, you will put your remember you put your finger up because you want to say, excuse me, you put your finger up because that's how we're taught in primary school to put your finger up to say excuse me, and you're an adult and you still put your finger up. That's how deep seated and conditioned the problems is. And it's not sorry to say, but it's not for the 80-year-old man to solve. Because even me, just traveling from Monrovia to Lofa and back, and I went to a government clinic and stuff like that. Mm-mm. The bureaucracy, the red tape. See, America got red tape. Hey, my NGO had to say, you know what? I'm not dealing with Liberia, the government hospital. I'd rather find a empty lot in the bush, clean it myself, and start my own clinic and have my rules and regulations to serve the people before I would collaborate with the Liberian government. Isn't that sad? I cannot even take healthcare to my mother's village, my lineage, and collaborate with like all okay in Liberia, all the clinics of the hospital are blue and white. So if you see a blue and white building, it's a Liberian clinic. At the time I pulled in my feasibility, I took a whole feasibility team there in Lofa. When I pulled up and I realized it was a government hospital, I told my aunt, heck to the no. I do not want to go through the red tape. I don't want to raise money overseas and come and nobody tell me crap. I turn around and I will find another private facility. That's that deep rooted and deep condition Liberian problem is when you come to corruption. Even building roads to put safety first. They are not going to buy whitewash paint more than once. Who does that? Hey, and people are knocking people off. People are dying in the yellow machines. Of course, they are on that refugee highway all day because they're hauling the sand, they're pulling the old quota off the road. So there's a lot of milling machine, but they would not. So the keke and the pimpin don't know the lane, and you have to drive with your the palm of your hand on the horn because the government would not buy few bucket of whitewash twice.
So, let me ask you a question.
Mm-mm.
From your observation, just doing just a survey, like an overlay of survey, right? Looking around
Mm.
here, does it look like the wealth of the nation? Is there a reflection of the wealth of the nation? We just outlined to you how much the put pays every month. Imagine somebody living in Liberia in their own country, a nation that 3.6 million of its population of the 5 million cannot afford $2 a day to eat, pays its directors, 40 of them, almost $5,000 a month. That's that's over $52,000 a year, plus other incentive. Is there is that money because that's one of the things we wanted to talk about, management, the inequality, or is it equitable from what you see? Does it seem that the government is doing what it's supposed to do, because the government is supposed to be working for the people? There should be some sort of incentive, even if you're not. And let me go back to what Peter said earlier. Liberia does not respect knowledge, majority of the leaders. I'm glad here. My sister Lisa said what I said about Emma Sawyer, where they refuse. And this is what we call at the time during the civil rights movement, or just I would call it disenfranchisement, where they told a young man who was running to be a city mayor based on the political party system that was oligarchy, Peter said, which I agree. Based on that, they told him he could not run to be a mayor. That's when mayor used to be elected. He needed to have certain amount of money in his bank account, and two, he needed to have a property. Okay, and then a lot of people could not vote because you have to pay to vote. You have to have property to vote. These are all American ideas, right? So do you see that? Because that's what we're talking about. We're talking about the inequality. We're talking about the disenfranchisement. We're talking about the cynicism in the country, that the people in a position of power, they're doing all they can to divide us. Like I tell my story where in this place, they don't know, I understand the language that they're speaking. They say, look at them. They came from eating burger. They think they're coming here to rule, or they come into our country. We were not trying to go rule them. We're trying to say we've traveled, we're experienced what it's like to have opportunity. We're here to support you to make the right possible decision, to somebody who can perform, somebody who knows how to create jobs, who have created jobs before, somebody who understands how system and processes work, how meritocracy, what meritocracy looks like. So what has been your experience? Take about 2 minutes and talk about that. We'll go back to Peter so we can make a round of us trying to finish up. Because we're past
Yeah,
9 o'clock already. Yes.
I think it's the only way. Let me simplify my response. And
Mm-hmm.
or maybe Coach Q. I'll do it two scenarios. It's like you travel a year, a month or two away, and you went back to your house that
Mm-hmm.
you are used to having a certain way, and you got back from your trip, and everybody's happy that mom's home. But when you walk in the kitchen, you see dirty dishes, um, dirty rooms, and you snap and you say, "Everybody up! Everybody get up! We clean this house tonight." Or Coach Q, you coach your team, and what you told the plan was for the game. They're totally like acting like they were walking with some hamburgers and some, like it was McDonald's they were playing when you play a season, a playoff game, and you say, okay, everything stop. That's what Liberia is. It's like, why I know this? The plan is on the boat. Trust me. The qualifications is there. You go to certain places, you hear the children talk. Liberian kids are educated. I haven't seen a group of people that speak such fluent English where all the subject and verb agree. But it's like the country is going in slow motion. Slow motion. Everything's on the book. They get the grants. Everything is well written. Nobody implements crap. They talk a good game, but it's like a girl. It's like a guy that took a good game, looked good, but he got five girlfriends. But when he's talking to one of the side chick, you feel like you're the main chick. But when you look at his face value, he ain't giving nobody crap. That's how Liberia is. And it's so expensive daily to live here that even in America, I kid you not, these people be calling prices. My girlfriend, my sister went to spray her car to a newer paint. It costs 125. This person would be brave to tell you bring 300. Oh, you from America? Bring 2 more 100. We've been dropping F bomb and telling somebody you didn't think I'm crazy. As soon as they don't see a man behind you, they take you for a fool. So you said married. I mean, unmarried? No, there's no merit. The problem is so deep seated. That's why earlier, Sister City, I said Liberia cannot benefit from democracy. The illiteracy rate is so high, sycophants rate is high, tribalistic rate is high, partisan rate is so high because I engage in a lot of conversation when I go out. It's so high, it's so conditioned, or 80-year-old man can serve it, sorry. And we cannot get to the other side of this new world with democracy. Liberia being a democratic government, I never thought I could say this. It would not work. The lawmakers don't know the law. The citizens
You don't
don't
even
know the law.
follow.
They don't teach the law in primary school. No, the few people that know the law hold the purse strings. No. In the future, we can introduce democracy or democratic government little by little. But right now, I don't even want to alter the word. I wouldn't say the M word, but we need a government that does not start with D, but starts with M. I'm sorry. Or a government that starts with V, a real visionary that really would take the rattan and whoop anybody into shit as he go along. I don't know, well, let's put that democratic seat down. The one I see now. The people don't know. We need a really stern leader or their viable option that don't give two fucks. Excuse my French. You spell it wrong, you spell a child. We need that kind of leader. And when I work with democracy, I'm sorry that we have two conditions in the country.
Okay, thank you, Sister Jamal. Let me go. Let's go to Peter. I have a different take, okay, because we are where other nations have been, and it took one leader. Singapore took one leader. South Korea took one leader.
That's why I said we need a leader that will not spare the rod.
Okay. Yes. John McAfee, after all those years, okay, the first thing that you must do is educate your population, make them aware. So I'm gonna go back to Peter, and then I'm gonna put the number up and see if those who want to call in. But I wanted to reflect Peter here that what I said earlier, but somebody agreed it was Emma Sawyer, so I was right. At least I studied to some degree Liberia history, but the mind is not so smart sometimes. The reservoir does not hold everything. You can misspeak, and I wanted to make sure of that. But go ahead, Peter.
Yeah, so democracy is not the problem.
No, I don't believe so. But that's just Jaman talk. Yes.
I bet to differ. Sorry.
Yeah, go
Yeah,
ahead. Go ahead, Peter. Let's educate us.
democracy is not the problem. That's like saying I'm not going to get a Mercedes Benz because it's breaking down, and then when people look at the car, you didn't put any oil in it. You have no gasoline. You didn't put brake fluid. That's why it's not stopping. So there are things that are needed for democracy that we don't have. To have a democracy, there are five pillars. There are five pillars that you need to have a democracy. You need a rule of law.
Which you don't have.
You must have the rule of law. We don't have that. Like you have to have professionals that respect the rule of law and the
We don't
leaders.
have that either.
Okay, you must have a a vibrant economy so people are not desperate.
We don't have that.
We don't have that. We must have social welfare systems for
No.
those that fall through the cracks. You must, the things I'm naming are things you must have for this car to run. Okay, social welfare program for the poor so they're not desperate. Anything that alleviates desperation. Okay,
Mhm.
you must have number one an educated populace. Must have an educated populace because the democracy depends on you making the decision that benefits the whole. So they have to see themselves and understand why we're making this economic decision to the majority. This is so to a point where America didn't even create a real true democracy initially. They created what they call the electoral college so that you don't get to pick the president. You get to pick the representative. Liberia is a republic, people. Here's the difference between a republic and a democracy. And they are both the same, but there's a distinction. Plato was the architect of what he believed should be a democracy. I'm not going to go into the whole historical story about what happened with Plato and Socrates. Okay, but Plato created a democracy, a republic. Why did that matter that he created a republic? What is a republic? A republic is citizen participation. However, that democracy is run by philosopher kings. That means educated rulers. It was not open to everybody. You pick someone amongst these people that you want to represent you. Philosopher kings runs republics. That means the smartest of the people runs democracy to help the whole. That's what that is. So if you don't have a vibrant economy, you don't have an educated populace, you don't have civil service programs, you don't have the rule of law. The fifth thing you need is citizen must participate. We have way too much of that. So there's a table with 5 legs, we only have one. And we expect the dining room table to stay up.
Right.
So it's not democracy, it's the fact that we don't have those pieces. So when we talk about creating systems, this is what the systems do. They create those pieces. You have to create an education system so that the people are educated. Then you have to educate the populace. You must create a middle class so you have a vibrant economy. So you have spenders and you have taxpayers. Without that, listen, government invests in people, people build nations. That's how it works.
Yeah.
So that you don't have.
Repeat that. Government invests in people, people build nations. Yeah. Correct?
Yeah.
That is correct.
Government invests in people. People are the ones who built the nations.
Yes.
So there are steps to cooking this food, is what I'm saying. So allow the experts to do the job. We don't. We are envious of each other. Okay.
Yeah.
We all think we're on the same level. You're not. We're not. Sis Yama has been doing healthcare for a long time. I'm not going to be doing healthcare just because I watched Grey's Anatomy and think I know as much as she does. Right? And that's what happens in Liberia all the time. Joseph Boykai really believed that he should be a leader because he worked next to Ellen. And she said this, like, no. The worst thing is my job as a coach, right? Everyone thinks they can coach. You can't.
Nope.
You can't. So let's get on the board. Let me show you why you can't. Okay. And Liberians do not allow people to show them. This is why when Boycott ran away from debates, or even Weir runs away from debate, that's a major problem. Because now you can't even vet them. You can't pick their mind to see what
they get that platform. You don't even know what they're running for.
And when people vote for a Boycott because he's from Lofa, those people are traitors. And if they, we think he's going to, then based on what? Based on what?
So
what has happened is when you break down the democracy and you didn't put the oil in the car, now you say, cars are bad, we need motorcycles. No. You, the owner, is bad. The dog is biting because of how you raised the dog. Stop blaming the dog. It's how you raised it. It's how you trained the dog. Because there are people with that exact same dog that is very obedient and it's not biting people. So I was starting to say what I believe the problem that Liberia really has. And it's not like me to not start controversies. I like fights. I do. I do. And the only thing that frustrates me about a fight is when people are faking. If you really want to fight, then you got to fight. Stop with all this. I'm a coach. I like scheduled collisions. Scheduled. On this day and that day, we're gonna meet. We're gonna do it. And then that's why I like boxing. On this side, you ready? On this side, you ready? Fight. Nobody breaking it up. You can't fake. You can't fake it. You cannot. You shouldn't be able to. Too much faking going on in Liberia. Let me tell you what the real problem is. Just like America's real problem that the CNNs and the MSNBCs are trying to hide. America created a king. They created a dictator. Okay, it's constitutional. And B, they were just hoping that people never abused it. And this guy's abusing it. He's exposing America because if he couldn't do it, he wouldn't be doing it. If the Constitution didn't allow him to do it, he wouldn't be doing it. And secondly, America is a racist country. Everything is along racial lines. Guys, you go back to look at the Civil War, why it was fought, how it was executed. After the Civil War, what those people, the presidents, Abraham Lincoln, Andrew Johnson, or how they forgive the South, even though thousands and thousands of people killed. Yeah. And there was like, oh, it's just black people. Let's forget about it. How Reconstruction ended. Everything is about racial line. How the Democratic Republican Party came together. How the parties switched. Everything was because of race. So America doesn't want to admit that they're a racially disgusting country. So they're going to continue to keep pretending like it's not. And they're trying to treat the symptoms instead of the actual sore. Here's Liberian problem, people. I hate to break your hearts. And I'm going to break some people's heart. The Liberians and Liberians in Liberia, a lot of them, the majority of them, since it's a democracy, they hate you in the diaspora. Yes, indeed. I thought it was a major error for people from here to go back to the villages and try to canvass for Cummings. Major blunder. That sounds counterintuitive, right? When they hear your accent, it's like, I am not letting you. You are the people that we're talking about. You want to come here and root us just like Ellen did. We're not. There's our son. They don't care about if he knows how to run an economy. Borka has no idea. His people have no ideas. His sons have no idea. He's selfish. He is clueless. He's uneducated on the subject of everything that's needed. But what he was really good at is poisoning the water. When he was saying Cummings is a stranger, even though they're on the same team, we're not going to have a strange package coming in. What he was doing was he was speaking to that sentiment. He was speaking to that sentiment that these people who had it easy think they're going to come in and take money. Don't forget, to people in Liberia, they're doing you a favor when they elect you. So why are we going to do a favor to people who have it all already? They're not even us. They think they're better than us. They planted those seeds. So when we go back home and say to them, well, pick this man, the firewall is already built. You just say, yeah, and do all that pretending stuff. As soon as we leave, they're like, yeah, sit down there. That's what happens. They hate us. Just example after example after example. Even what Sis Yama just talked about. Oh, you from America, you charge more. They're going to charge you more. They think you have it so much better than them. They don't think you are them. They don't think they should give you anything. Okay, they think electing the proper people is actually giving you something instead of saying this is the person who's going to organize us. You talk about how it takes one leader, Yasendi. Yes, it does. This is why Cummings didn't want to go to the Senate, because it's not impactful. As the president with that bully's pulpit and that big stick, it takes one person who can change it. He will be able to build the systems. But the person who would build the system, they will not let do it. They know he's the most competent. And it's not even just for Cummings. Anyone like him. You're still on inside. That's why you 1%. As if it's those people were hurting. They really think they give it to you. They really think, yeah, we showed you. That's why you got 1% of us voting. Okay, but you in the bottom three poorest country in the world. You okay with
Thank
that?
you.
They'd rather be poor, Yacindy. They'd rather be poor
Yes,
and
it's
eat
the
dirt
democracy can work for us.
than to
'Cause
say, you know what, I'm going to be humble. I'm going to let this person, let's see what this person got. They are not doing that yet, Cindy. They're going to run to racial, to tribal lines, sectional lines. They, it's not, they don't know. They know. They think they're going to bequeath, abdicate something to you and it will make them lesser. That's what the problem is. We need to face it. Do a poll. They hate the diaspora. They think
well,
that we
but
know it
let
all.
me just,
They
do
think
a
we
little
know it
fun
all. They
fun
think we think we
question.
know it all. They think we're better than them.
Thank
They
you.
been poisoned.
Yeah, they be under my post saying that, and then be my inbox
Yes,
the next
they've
time.
been poisoned.
No,
Even
but
though we
no,
send
no,
back
no, no,
eight
no.
hundred thousand, let me land on this real quick. I'm done. Even though we send back $800 million a year, it doesn't matter. We are only there to give them stuff. Let me give you one last example. Edith Gunglo is running. I was on one of her meetings just to listen. Some of my friends are supporting her just to listen. And there was a guy in the meeting. He pretty much just said, "That's right. You guys just raise the money. We'll do the election thing. We don't need you for nothing else but to raise the money.
Okay.
Just
And
raise
see,
the
that's
money."
the same thing that people were saying to us here,
So
Peter. Now, I'm
yeah,
not going to call name. We just want you to raise the money. We don't want you for you to make decision. You
yeah.
want me to work 9 to 5.
No,
Take time
but
from your
yes,
dollar
Andy,
and give
there's
it to you, but you can spend it. You decide on
yes,
it. You
Andy,
just need
but
me
there
to
would
raise the
be
money.
but yes, Andy, there would be nothing wrong with that if they were more competent, if they understood systems, if they were experts. You're not. Yes, Andy, that was just them speaking to the fact that they hate you. They hate what we represent. They hate what communists represent. Communists represents uh, something they would never aspire to be. He worked his butt up from the bottom to the top. And he knows that road because he took that road and he carved that road. They would
Yes,
not, they don't want to give a person like that a chance because he's unlike them. It is them conceding that they're not good enough in their minds. They don't see us Liberians. So let's face it, just like America needs to face the fact that we are a racist country that selected a king and will put down other minorities. Liberia needs to face the fact that the Liberians in Liberia, the majority of them hate us.
I
thank you,
think it's
Peter.
a tug
Thank
of
you,
war.
Peter. Say your ma. Hold on 1 second for me, sweetie. My dear. I would I'm gonna so you're gonna land. We are at the 6:30, the what do you call it, 9:30 mark. I'm gonna give you about 7 minutes. What's on your mind, and then close. And then we're gonna I'm gonna close, Peter gonna close and record it at night. It's good having you talking to us all the way from Liberia. I don't know why you stay up. I see your husband here, Mr. Cully. You need to go get your wife. She just telling her location. Yeah, you need to go get her. That aid there. She can't, she's not listening. I'm telling her they'll go look for her. So says
It's
your mom.
a-
Yeah, thank you so much for joining us tonight from home. And it seems that I know you're using other internet, so your internet is stable, it's strong. I kind of like that.
Starlink. It's Starlink.
Yeah, but we're not gonna be using Starlink. The man is apartheid, and he don't
Oh,
like black
okay.
people. Yes, you're gonna go.
About that.
We're gonna find other company. Liberia can open the market, other companies. But that's another story for another day. My sister go ahead. What's on your
But
mind?
and
Yes.
Coach Q basically just, I mean, I didn't say eloquently enough, but he basically said what I was trying to say. Democracy, I know you say it's not the problem. The whole idea of democracy, I agree, it's not a problem. But when I said Liberia cannot benefit from democracy right now, he just made my case because he pointed five, five other ones. So we only have the spare tire. The whole car that runs on the other four activity car, we do not have it. So how you gonna travel? You don't have the car, but just a spare tire. We are just a spare tire. We're a fifth wheel. with the spare tire nation. So if democracy is 5 tires and you only have the spare, democracy cannot work for you at this point in life. You got to find another eternity. I'm so sorry. You got to find a dictator, the other D or a militant or a democratic government. I mean, leader that will lead with a stern hand. You cannot travel to even red, let alone look for a Ganta when you only have the spare tire. So for the next 20 years, the democracy is not our forte. Sorry, it's harsh. I don't care. We the oldest nation in Africa. We the third poorest. If you don't have what the coach just stipulated, democracy is off the table come 2029. Sorry to break it to you. I'm a nurse. I follow order. I challenge order. If all the 5 routes, the right time, the right frequency, the right dose, if all those things are not in place, guess what? Nurse Yarma cannot give that man. I don't care if you the attendee, the fellow, or the brand new residents. I am not going to execute that order because I don't have my 5 routes. Same thing. And with the deep seated corruption, and if history is any telling, 2 things. We got to find a viable third option that will lead with be elected democratically, but lead with a stern hand. And sweep, like I just said, you're sitting come for a trip. The house is dirty. She put everybody on notice. If the husband talk anything, say he'll wash your uncle that night. But I don't know. Corruption is all over. I came with my nieces to bury the grandmother. I was so excited to take them because they were just in the house. We got very good internet here, but I wanted to go show them the learning center. I've asked everybody's in the yard, all my relatives, no, the man driver told me, "Hey, Mrs. Scully, we didn't know about that thing talking about. We didn't even get food to eat, so library being all mine." Nobody in my family knew that there was a learning center that provides free internet, free computers. I will post my pictures later when I come to the States. The one that Leo opened. Free internet is only $20, United States dollar, $20 membership for the whole year. If you go daily, it's $1. So I pay $3 for me and my 2 nieces. I'm actually taking a couple of my nieces there on Monday before I leave to register them for the whole year because they can have free computer and free internet Monday through Friday. Because they don't have the basic, no food, clothing, or shelter. The boy told me we ain't here for reading billion. We don't even know when we're gonna eat. Democracy, I don't know, but Coach Key said it all. So we have to find different strategy. Yeah, we
Thank,
do. So,
thank you, Sis Yama. So, in closing, the few things that I like to chronicle, I'm going to take my 5 minutes to bring that to bear. And maybe uh, Peter will be able to address how do we kind of solution driven, how do we close the generational gap. Uh, Emmanuel, thank you for the stars. Appreciate you. I say when Peter speaks,
oh,
I listen
I'm so
well.
sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry to let me say this about the diaspora. Um,
Huh?
Peter, I forgot to interject this. Peter, what you say about I think the diaspora in Liberia is 50%, if that's 75%, the problem to this fragile democracy we have. The people come, the people change. The people use cash violence. I've just experienced it growing up Lofa with some close friend of mine. They use cash violence, they use behavior violence. I watched it live for the last 3 weeks. They think they're better than the locals that live here. The locals like, don't bring your shit to me. I'm not gonna tolerate it. I know you got more for me to learn from, but you
Oh,
come with
word.
that behavior, I will fight you even though I need something from you. That's what's going on here. The diasporan come with the cash violence. I said so. They have the problem with their democracy.
So,
Most of them, not all of them.
okay, so Jamal, let me close. How you call it? I don't know what's the percentage. I've traveled back and forth to Liberia along with Dr. Richardson and the many other Liberian women in the last 4 years back and forth almost every quarter. And we treated everybody the way we wanted to be treated.
You
Um,
are an anomaly. You are very rare.
okay.
You
I
are.
thank you. I appreciate you. Um, in fact, my first day at the ANC headquarters, like people are like, don't give your number to people. I'm like, I give my number to everybody. I have my number since 1994. I have not changed it. You will go around, come by and call. Um, and when I spoke telling my own story, and I tell my story all the time, majority of the women and men there could relate. Okay. I would get them when we're in the car and get them. People say, just sit down. I would get them, go to the gate and be like, hey, like if you start going, I would be like, just say, I know the things are difficult here. I understand. I understand the need to survive in this country because I study American history. Men stole for the family to eat to stay alive, especially Georgia, where I am, during the Great Depression, where they had no food. Men and women were in the soup kitchen. So just know about how much black people suffer as Peter Chronicle. The problem with Liberia is it's not democracy. Okay. Equity, representation. All right. And just as Peter chronicled those pillars, they're there, they're present. If you see, when I testify at the Minisky, and I will always say that, and I came here and made a talk about it. I'm Adama Dempster. We work with him on the Justina Taylor case and many cases. When he came on, because he was on Beth Venshak's side, after I had testified, he questioned me. He questioned my Liberianness. He questioned the pain that I suffered during the war. He questioned that, who are you working with here? Okay. Because I don't know who you're working with. In fact, he started the conversation this way. I never left. I've been here. And I think all of you heard my voice when I don't care where I am. But if you say something that undermines my pain, my truthfulness, I will challenge you. I don't care if you're Donald Trump. Okay. A lot of people don't know this. When Donald Trump was running in 2020, the guy on UP, the leader for UP from Maryland, will tell you, they created, you see, Kenny Owens, I was going to be Africa, whatever you call it, Yasendi, okay? Reach out to me. His value at the time did not align with mine, and I was not going to sell my soul for money. I'm not money. I'm a people centered. That's the kind of person I am. So when that man told me, when he said to me, I never left, I've been here. So who are the people that you are working with? I'm a Liberian. I didn't have to work with anyone. I am a survivor of the war. I didn't need his consent. I didn't need consent from him to acknowledge my pain. I did not need a consent from him to tell him my pain was there. Because he left, I left, he did not leave. That does not make his pain any more than mine. And I will always talk about it, Adama. This is somebody that I talk to. This is somebody that I work with. This is somebody that we help with other things, confront other things when we're going through different processes. At that moment, he was more Liberian, at least he thought that I was. When you look at the dynamics of Liberia, 99% or 98% of Liberians, so-called who amongst who, that out of that, the money from working for, if you go up in the back, from working for government and stealing and building this web among themselves. They open the door every now and then, push few people in, and to keep the nation the way it is. Then you got the rest that got money from outside, but via the outside underneath by stealing or collaborating with the government to steal and get their cut. Like for instance, some of the oil company in Liberia, they think I can call the Aminata and so I know they will can't cost me, but I can come and chronicle how they got because I've been around for a very long time. Okay, I've been around for a very long time, and I've studied Liberia, and I come from a very politically charged family. People, a lot of people don't know that. Okay, so sometimes when people talk, and I bring the like I was talking about the port with Matilda or what I call it, Matilda Parker. When Ellie, what's his guy name? Snow was loving to Taylor, was married to Taylor's daughter Zoe when he got the scholarship, the LFA FIFA scholarship to come here to Colorado and went to school, and they got expelled academically, expelled. All of us have challenges and went to Liberia and they end up graduating on top of his class and all of these things. I know them. I just spoke today about sabotaging where he need Amos Oyo, that he could not get a major position as a city mayor because they wanted him to have something. It was just a bottleneck. It was a fence that they built the P up. Now the problem here is you do not, okay? You try to divide those living in America who majority of the income, because it was voluntary, we were trying to survive. We were trying to find the best place to survive. They built schools that mimic American school system. They study American literature, American history, American lifestyle, their way of speaking, okay? And when possible, when their fiancés, their wife, they're pregnant, they send them out to America, to England, to have baby, okay? To have babies. Says, yeah, man, these are true. But guess what? I have one more minute, okay? But they pretend. What I've come to realize is what a Liberian wants to be. When others are there, they will beat you down. Most Liberian, they don't hate commies. They envy him. Okay? They envy us because some of them will say, like when we're talking about Donald Trump deporting people, let Donald Trump deport them. Let them cancel all of us can say that in the mosquito. Okay? If you say America has some of them will say, how about you come and we go? So those are the things. So it's the mindset. We are talking about patronage system. How do we create a system that is more that reflect meritocracy? Okay, we start by respecting knowledge. And I will go there and I always say that Peter say in the simplest form, but my thought is always a you build the people will build the nation. Leadership starts from the top, development starts from the bottom. When you raise the people will raise the nation. Okay, so
Yeah,
I'm
but
gonna
this is in here. I beg to differ a little bit. I'm seeing the thing right now. I,
Says your man, you spoke. That's my closing statement. So you can defer it, and that's okay. I listen. I have seen Liberian people show up. Show off. I have seen Liberian people get to Liberia from America and tell you they can't speak their dialect. I have seen Liberian people show up and speaking Siri and being rude to people at checkpoints, at in
thank you.
places,
Thank
and
you.
think people are trying to steal from them. But that is not majority of the people that goes to Liberia. It's not majority of the people. I get what you see. I seen that. I experienced that. I see Liberian people who live and benefit off of the government right there in Liberia and look at you and say, I can talk to somebody who's still sleeping on rest bed. I can talk to somebody who's still going to water in bucket to take bath.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank
So
you.
I
Thank you.
know what you're talking
And
about.
the thing about it, why I noticed, even if I agree with you, I don't know the statistic, it's not a majority, but even if one or two of us act like that to the least of these, that problem seeps, that resentment build up.
No, no,
So
no.
we need to come back home with the respect and then also with not embezzling. Look, a man that never left Liberia would not be brave to embezzle $500 million.
That is
For a
not a
man
true
that lives
statement.
in the West and come here,
That is not a true
$10,000
statement.
too cheap for him.
That is not a true statement.
Well,
That
that's
is
my
not a true statement. And let me say this to you, okay? The Jeremiah Coon that's sitting there, and the Nima people coming cost me, but that's fine, okay? Jeremiah Coon used to sell, okay, in the market. When he and the Thomas Fala got an opportunity and they begged those children to vote them in, when they got in, you know, the first place where they wanted to go, they wanted to be on Ways and Means. One was the chair, one was the deputy. Guess what? If you go back to 2015, 2014, 2016 budget of Liberia, you will know that there were budget put in there for school buildings. Those school buildings was never erected for 2 years. Then the money just disappeared. Some of them end up building hospitals. They end up building schools. All right. America did not make us corrupt. We were already corrupt. Okay.
true.
So that's what we are. It's in our nature. Listen, Confucius said, the strength of the nation depends on the integrity of the home. Okay? The people that are stealing, they didn't go into government to steal. They were already stealing. Okay? And we know why we look away. Like when you hire a drug dealer, a new drug dealer, and say at least he can bring some of the money in the community. That's what I'm talking about. So, I now go more than the time I was supposed to go because you keep stopping me. So that's my closing. All right. There are more of us that are good. There are more of us that wake up every morning. Peter sitting down here. We got kids all over the world that we support, that we pay school fee for. Some who we have never met, some who we may never meet. All right. Their parents, children who call and say, Mama is struggling. Can you do this? Can you do that? There are young people in Liberia that for the past 8 years, I have supported. Even if that's $50 a month, that's $75 a month, that's $100 a month, I do that every month. I don't do that. My own kids got jobs. Even my baby, my 18-year-old has a job. When she started working since she was 15. Okay? So, what you're saying is true. There are people, I know, like, when I went home about 4-5 years ago, and I went to up interior, and I'm speaking dialect, and people ask, do you still remember? Guess what? I've been here 30 some more years. Somebody who just came about 10 years ago, go to the same place and say they can't speak their dialect. Can you imagine? And they're speaking Siri to their people. Okay, so I get it. I'm not denying anything, but
Okay.
I can tell you for free, majority of the people in Liberia who say they hate Mr. Cummings, they wish their father will have the man that man is. They wish their husbands will have the man that Cummings is. They
That one,
wish their brother will have the man that Alexander Cummings is. I am saying that. Okay, when you turn around, says where and say Musa doing there, they say, oh, Musa corrupt, Musa that roll. When they say the Cummings, oh, where he coming from? He was in America. Why he build Coca-Cola factory? So it is not about logic. But I will stop here because I said too much. Peter, you can take the 10 minutes and close us. And maybe since Yama, I have no points, I have no argument with you. I agree with what you said. I've seen it myself. I just want to close with that. Peter?
Yeah, I disagree with Sishiyama. I think it's a Liberian thing. I don't think it's a diasporan thing. Here's why. How often do you hear people in Liberia say, "You guys in America cleaning poo-poo, clean people's asses"?
Yes.
I'm telling you here instead we toting cartoons. They say it to me. They say it to me. So the derogatory statement, it goes both ways. It goes both ways. If I was here cleaning poo-poo, or what's wrong with that? It's decent work. At least it's work. That's not what I do for a living, but I wouldn't mind doing that. To a point where on my Facebook page, If you look at my occupation, I put FedEx. I couldn't tell you the first thing about FedEx. I did that because it's like, oh, you push a cartoon. I am a cartoon
Yeah.
pusher. Then what? What's that mean? And we can't say, well, the problem in Liberia is the diaspora. No, the problem in Liberia is deeper than that. A lot of it is jealousy. A lot of it is the fact that we don't communicate to each other. The fact is, a lot of it is projection. So if I see you, maybe it's the life I've lived. I grew up with nothing. Then we had something. Then we had nothing, and it's projection. People are projecting. You can't. You couldn't give me. You couldn't bribe me with money. I don't care about money. Everyone's not like that, and I think our people back home thing is all about, oh, you think it's this cynical perspective, right? They think you're looking down on them. Like someone with low self-esteem who always thinks you have some ulterior motive. Like I said, he's talking about going to villages, talking to those people. Um, like, what's your angle? You just doing it because you want a job. You just doing it. They will make that up in their heads, and they talk down to Liberians who are here all the time. There was a lady on Facebook today who was talking about how not to look down on Liberians and because you were struggling too. And I don't always disagree. I didn't disagree with everything she said. But she was talking about how hard life is in Liberia. Life is hard here too, especially for people who came here later that didn't have adequate education that we were lucky to have. We know that life is hard here too. The fact is, Liberians don't love each other. I'm going to tell you guys a story that really, really affected me. There was one day a few years ago. It was in the summertime. Many years ago, because I was in college at the time. I think it was my senior year. Came home on vacation. We're coming back from the park, from the beach. I still remember like it was yesterday. Not paying attention. It was just me and my friends in the car. We come on the highway hot, and we cut somebody off. Right? Didn't mean to. I was not driving. I was in the passenger seat. So my friend cuts this person off. She could have been in an accident. So we hear the screeching, the beep, beeping on us, right? And we just driving because we're having fun. It's a good summer day. And it was a young girl in the car with either someone, her sister, her friends, whatever. They catch up to us and they pull next to us. This breaks my heart. And I've told this story to him and he didn't get it. They pull next to us, right? And she's cussing, and he sees in her rear view, on her rear view, she has the Cape Verdean flag. She has a Cape Verdean flag on her rear view.
Right.
He's Cape Verdean. He also has the flag. He rolls down the window and says, "Creota!" They call each other Creoles, Creota. And grab his flag. The biggest smile came on that girl's face and they took off. Like, oh, this idiot. And she's driving off. He didn't know this. I sat back in my seat and sadness came over me. You know why sadness came over me? I flipped that scenario in my head. If I was driving, cut off a girl, almost got in an accident, and she noticed my Liberian flag, she would run me the hell off the road. It would not be, oh, there's my brother. He just made a mistake.
She would be on Facebook the next day cussing you mind, cussing you.
If she doesn't try to run me off the road. And every Liberian knows this. It's not like this connection, this love when you see. And where's that come from? That girl's attitude changed when he waved the flag. Think about it. With the reverse, if it was us, would that have happened? So where's that coming from? Isn't that innate?
I know where it's coming from.
Okay, so let me close on this, right? I think the library and the learning center, when I saw it, guys, I'm an educator. That's all I want to do in life. There's nothing else I want to do but coach and teach kids. And that's probably what I'm going to do in Liberia in the near future. That's all I want to do, right? Go someplace and teach. So libraries, I know how important they are. When I saw the library, the learning center that was built, I shook my head because I know they're not going to go there. Do
Yeah.
they need to read? Of course they do. They're not going to go. They don't see library like we see it. To me, that's that aspirin audacity right there. You know what they would have they would have really loved? Something that you built that helped them generate wealth, or something that helps them generate capital. If you would have built something that this is what we're going to do, and we're going to make money, and we're going to share this money with people who come, they would have loved that. Right now, it's not the time for library. Just like it's not the time to do the roads. Get the people from Broad Street. Get the people off the beach, from around the EJR building. Build hotels. That's what you do. Invite people to come to the country and infuse money into the economy. All our people need right now is money. There are 3 steps when you're taking over a poor country. Our country is not the first one. Relief, recovery, reform. Relief, recovery, reform. Stop their pain first. Library doesn't stop their pain.
But Peter, wouldn't that be the government position though? That won't be the
100% the government. That's what I'm
priority?
saying. That's what I'm saying. It's the government's position.
Yes.
The first thing is that if you don't numb the pain, you can't do the surgery. So if a organization just like the Diaspora Fund, that's a brilliant idea. It's not going to work. We don't have systems. We're going to compete against the Lebanese and Chinese. Do you understand that government subsidizes them to be in our country? Do we not think deeper? That's why we need experts, people who study this stuff. We need to, we should have created a revenue generating avenue for them. They would have appreciated that more. Sis Yama, you in Liberia, Sis Yama, you go to Liberia all the time. How many people are on Facebook Live? How many of them even have a smartphone? Even if they do, they're going to waste data to listen to a 2-hour live.
No.
It's for a talk. We know that 99% of the people are not. They're exactly what you said, Sis Yama. They're trying to eat, Sis Yama. They just want food. Okay, $4.4 billion is our GDP. Okay, what's the GDP per capita then? That means that if there's such a thing as GDP per capita, that means based on this money we have, every Liberian should share it in it. Every Liberian should share it in $4.4 billion. That's not okay. Those are things that needs to be fixed, and everyone wants to. Okay, let's just change the game. No. How about we don't pick people like Joseph Boycott to lead? You don't pick selfish, desperate people with no money. I did a post the other day. I said we need rich people to lead our country. When I said rich, people who don't care about money. They don't need money.
That's what I was saying when I said diasporan is the problem.
Okay?
Diasporan is also the solution.
So yeah, so we don't.
What does it look like?
We need people who a person to lead who's altruistic. We need someone who doesn't need to wear a $900 pair of shoes to feel good about himself.
Thank you. Somebody practical.
He's bad at.
And only a mom, that's what our brother mom acknowledging. Only a
We have
mom that would go to the house that's supposed to be clean, that would be very practical and sweep her house.
says yeah, man, you
We
how you
need,
turn you English you turn oh let be that lane come in here and go to sleep.
Okay, we got 6 more minutes. Me and BJ can go back and forth for 6 more minutes.
I have no interest in doing that. I'll let you go. We need an altruistic leader. We can't pick the wrong people and say democracy don't work. No, we picked the wrong stewards of our country. We picked the wrong people. We have to look each other in the eye and say that, admit that. We didn't vet them. We didn't ask them the when's in the house. How are you going to do
But the
this?
electorate got a deep-seated problem. The
Okay? We didn't do
electorate
any
is
of that.
tribalistic, they're uneducated, they're desperate,
That's
they're
just
hungry.
that's like.
and,
But here's the thing about that, right?
Uh,
So was other countries.
Yes.
So were other countries. So was Singapore.
but
Yep.
we are not
They were
patriotic.
extremely
So
tribalistic.
all those countries that you guys name, they taught patriotism in primary education. We
No,
have
we
no
had no.
training and we don't know how to be patriotic. It has to be taught. It's not
Okay,
even
but
in our curriculum right now.
yeah, but that's not true. They didn't have no curriculum. They came out of imperialism. They didn't have patriotism taught to them until much later.
That's what I'm saying. That we saying the same thing. If you're not, if the core of the nation is not innately patriotic, hence we have all these
Okay.
systems.
Peter and Yama in about 2 minutes. We got to how you call it. So I
Okay, I'm
think
done. Yeah.
yeah. So Yama, let Peter land, please. That it ain't finished. Next time when you get your turn, please talk. So don't leave it and then you come back. Thank you. Please. So Peter Land, it's 10:04. I gotta go. Yeah, 10:03, 10:04
Yeah.
almost. Yes.
Now we're good. I was just saying we can't create problems and then we can't create emergency and say there's an emergency, so therefore everything should stop. We created that because we're tribalistic. We didn't vet people. We didn't study what we wanted to learn. We want to participate without knowing what's really going on. We don't respect
Yep.
experts, and
Yep.
and we don't want to face the fact that we mess up the soup and we want to say, "Oh, it's the cooking, it's the recipe." No, it's not that. And that's all I was going to say. You don't build libraries at this time. That's an affront to those people. I'm gonna repeat that. It's an affront to those people when you build a library right now. That's not their need. Okay, that's not what they care about right now, and they're not going to care about it. And here's the thing: from studying other people's country, we don't have to reinvent the wheel. Everything we're going through, other countries have done it. Not one country, not two, not three, not four. They've gone through it. They were not they were not innately patriotic. They were beggars. It's still online. Go look at South Korea's history. They had less resources than we did. What they did was they had a coup. Maybe they're still Yama's point, and they had a dictator that came about, and then they switched to democracy afterwards. And I mean, I'm just saying that we need to we need to have the hard conversations. I
Yep.
think that's what the problem is. And to close, and um, so the question was, what? How do we fix this? I wanted to talk about that. The first way we fix it, the most important thing I think, and let me say this in 1 minute. Yeah, I see 150. We must unite in the diaspora. Until we can figure that out,
Thank
and
you.
the way you unite in the diaspora is you all have to agree to an objective standard.
Thank you.
That's where we start. We agree to an objective standard that we think this how we ought to live.
Yes.
If we can agree to that, if we can start there, and this is where the conversations come in. Why do you think this is going to work? Where did this work before? To have the objective conversations like every other country, America had a civil war about it. They had a revolutionary war about it. We need to have the hard conversations
Thank
without
you.
people running away and being shy of the conversations. And without us doing that, it's first of all, it's cowardly, and B, nothing's going to work. Thank you so much for having us tonight. That's it.
All right, guys, this is it.
Thank you.
Sister Man, it's great to hear from you all the way out of Liberia. It's a working process for me. I can see the progress. And Peter will tell you when we started about 8 years ago, um, it was very disappointing. People would tell you you can't question your leader, you can't do this, you can't do that. Now they tell you it's their constitutional right. People are asking this question. Eventually, we get there. That's how I see it. That's where my hope is, because I remember where we started from, where we have to send people out to take, what do you call it, to take speaker out into the community, laptop, to talk to people and educate them on their civic responsibility. Okay, so I am grateful. So let's continue to talk. Nyaman, that's why Gabriel said the chief propagandist for Adolf Hitler said, when you say over and over, if nobody debunk it, it becomes the people reality. So we got to make sure it is not the reality. So that's our responsibility to make sure this happens. I'm gonna play this. I have no copyright to this video. This is from Spoon TV. So let's see what's happening.
Liberians. You know, I received a phone call. I'm not calling people names. I received a phone call from, this is Senator, man. We are afraid of your call. And trust me, I'm not going to call your name. Center, I'm changed. I'm not going to call your name. But I received a phone call from advisors and ministers and here and there. They said, but man, we're disappointed. When we were with this story yesterday, Gibson, they said we're disappointed. You know, the executive mansion is divided. What you saw yet is Bushman, Keita, Crispy, and that's that group. It's there for the other group that saying don't do it. But then they told the president the only way for Henry Samboa to get this job, Alosha Stadu got to resign.
So they can't be disappointed because they still have no record. All of them know what they play. They play our people. Just as they started, and Peter, they said they will bring Bwaka in because they know he is not going to do anything. Then they will be the rescue. Rescue.
Right? That's why I said we the diaspora, like, if I could just learn to say it as calmly and wisely and really intelligently that Coach Q, I think I would go a long way. But I'll get there. I just want to tell you guys thank you and thank my internet for going through the course. Next week, I will be broadcasting from my own house in Pataskala, Ohio. God's willing.
And good night.
And good night.
Good night, Peter. Good night, Sis Yama. I'm gonna go try to do some work and turn it in. Good night.
Bye.
Bye.